when you got divorced,
Oh,
did it
yes.
did it rock your faith in any way?
Um, I was so mad. I was just mad. Um, and I use this in a lot of my talks now, especially with teenagers. God can take it. He can take that anger. And you're allowed to yell at him as long as you don't stay there. But I stayed there for a little while. And, I was the one at home with the kids, with the 3-year-old crying, "Where's Daddy? Why isn't Daddy here? Why doesn't Daddy live with us
Oh
anymore?"
gosh.
And I felt like, and I love using this to talk to teens because I felt like I had done everything that I had been asked of for God. I felt like I was following the rules. I felt like I was a good Catholic girl. I had done what I was supposed to do. How is this happening to me? Divorce was never going to be in the cards for me. That I was determined to live that vocation, that sacramental vow, that marriage, and for better or worse, I probably would have endured a lot. Just to keep the marriage intact. And so when he left and I couldn't stop it, it was kind of like, I look up at God and say, how did you let this happen? Honestly. I look back at that part of me and I think, man, I'm kind of disappointed in my own response, but it's a part of my journey. And
sometimes you just need to say that.
Yeah. And yell at him a little.
Yeah.
Just to get that, just to
get it out of your system.
Get the pressure out. Yeah. Yeah. So I will say that going to Mass was extremely hard. I did not stop going to Mass. I couldn't always receive communion because of the life that I had kind of let myself fall into through anger and, just frustration and disappointment and loneliness and loss. But I would still go to Mass, but I would cry. I mean, just seeing the families, and we never know what's going on behind closed doors. But when you sit in Mass, and sometimes, the kids are with me every other weekend, even to this day. And so they're with me and then they're not, and they're with me and then they're not. But it's always just me, and seeing the, happy families sitting at Mass together, going to communion together, celebrating the sacraments together. All 3 of my boys got their first communion with their dad sitting in the back with his new family, and I just, it's still a little bit of a point of sadness, So yes, did it rock my faith? I would say I'm going to tell you, I never wanted to leave the Eucharist. I knew above all that I was going to get my strength from him. And so I would not receive if I knew I couldn't. I would get myself to confession and then I would go to the Eucharist. So I knew I could never, ever live without that, without him.